Hi, and welcome to Punks on Film. My name is Lawrence, and with me is Matthew. How you doing, Matthew?
Very good. May the fourth be with you, nerds.
Yes, it is May the 4th, and I have to say, if I would have realized it was May the 4th, we probably would have done something Star Wars-ish. But we're not that good. Well, like I said, we kind of lucked out with the Easter Bunny when it came to Mallrats. So Uh, God, this would have been the perfect time to do Star Wars Troops, but we have more than enough time. So how's your week been treating you so far?
Well, it's always busy, doing the work I do, but I got the McFarlane Batmobile in and I spray painted that up with a little matte coat on there and it looks really good.
That looks
Takes
nice.
takes away that gray canopy and takes away some of that cheap plastic looking shine and makes it look legit. I stacked it up next to my other 89 Batmobiles today to take a look at them and it looks pretty good.
Uncle Todd though, he always has to do something to make it a little bit different.
Well, there's a rumor that there might be another one released with with a Batman figure, with a Batman '89 style action figure.
You
So
know,
I don't know if that's true. We'll see.
we might have to break down that movie sooner. Not even break it down, talk about it because I know there's some people that aren't a fan of that movie, but that '89 is still my favorite Batman, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Maybe
The Batman Returns is probably my favorite Batman movie for live action.
I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of Batman Returns. I never was. I don't know why. I don't know why. I never liked it, and I've even tried going back and watching it again. So I'm like, it still has the same. Obviously, the same Batman, the same idea. I just never was a fan of it. So
I remember back in the day. I mean, there's been a backlash for every Batman that there was because I remember myself, even when I saw the trailers for it, I go, "Mr. Mom, it's going to be Batman."
I remember thinking the same thing, and I would have only been, you know, 13, 12,
Yeah.
13. So I remember the same thing. I can only imagine what social media would have been like. What crazy.
Well, what they did to Batfleck and what they've done to Pattinson, and I mean even
Yeah.
Bale. Well, I don't know if there was much backlash against Bale, but
No, because he would have came back and he would shut up at the house and yelled at him. He yelled and screamed at him. So before we get started, I do want so I know we've been talking about the Mandalorian, we've been talking about Picard. There really aren't too many other things. Um, I don't know if you've been watching anything, but I do want to say this: if you guys have kids, like younger kids, pick out a show to watch, no matter what it is. Have them pick out a show, um, and watch it with them. And I gotta say this: so my daughter and I, we always pick out these Disney shows, or sometimes they're Netflix. But we've been watching the new Doogie Howser. Have you watched it by any chance?
I have not bothered to
Okay.
see it.
So okay, again, people, you're gonna roll your eyes and be like, "Oh, another remake," but it's actually called Doogie Howser because they call her Doogie Howser because she's the real life Doogie Howser. Doogie Howser is a TV show in the universe. She's just a teen prodigy that became a doctor, you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
we watched it, and my daughter, she will break out into these like acting stuff out and stuff like this. It's actually pretty funny. But so in this season, there's a love triangle, right? And this is a glimpse of a day with my daughter when she gets on her kid, right? So there's this love triangle between like obviously the girl that plays Doogie Howser, who is Andy Mack. If you watched Andy Mack before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And these two guys, and she busts out this. I don't know if you can. One of those things where it's like you do the circle, you put the stuff in the middle, and then you put the uh, pros and cons of each one. And like,
Get the Venn diagram.
she's breaking it all down, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, we're gonna see who she should be with. I'm like, it's a TV show that is already scripted. But like, listen, if you have kids, no matter what age they are, like, but start when they're young, man. Just like just pick out a show, watch that together. If it's like The
We
Mandalorian.
we've done that with my daughter since she was little. It was Batman the Animated Series, Gargoyles, and Avatar: The Last Airbender. She
Yeah,
watches those and Ninja Turtles, the 2012 series. She watches those over and over again. We watch them, rewatch them every time we get done. We start another one again.
and I'll tell you, like for my daughter, the way she is, it's almost almost always these Disney shows. We watch like Big Shot, which basically is the story of Bobby Knight like losing it, but it's with John Stamos.
Mm.
So he's a big time coach. He throws a chair, loses his job. He ends up coaching women's high school basketball, and it's funny. And all of a sudden, my daughter will break up and start imitating, but she doesn't just like imitate like one character. She'll do a whole scene and imitate the 2 or 3 characters in it. Like, why are you not doing drama? Like you.
So have you ever seen the show Community?
Yes.
That show's amazing. I love that show. It sounds like it'd be right up her alley too, with all of the stuff going on. And then how long ago it was made and how it's still relevant to today.
Some of that stuff you have to watch back, as we're gonna get into the Revenge of the Nerds today. Because even from a little while ago, sometimes a 14-year-old, you gotta go. And let's just say that I would not have been watching Revenge of the Nerds with any of my kids because
It's rated R comedy for a reason.
Yes, and it's rated R comedy for the 80s, not for the 2000s.
Nope, this movie would not be made today.
No, this would go directly to the. Well, let's just say there'd be lots of groups probably protesting it. Yes. That might be the best way to say it. It's kind of funny because you and I spoke about it a little bit. Allison here, she jumps in and she says, some of it did not age well. And it was funny that she shot that over to me today. And I was like, Matthew and I were just talking about it. So let's get into Revenge of the Nerds. So that's the movie that we decided to talk about. It'd be a lot easier to do this on a Patreon where you can say whatever you want. So there are some let's say words that we try and avoid just because YouTube may flag some stuff. So the word where you may take advantage of normally a man takes advantage of a woman. Let's not say that.
Yes. There are some nice drapes in the room.
Yes. That is one way to put it.
Yep. There is some drapery going on.
Yes. Well, at least once. No. Yeah. There's a nice drape in there. Okay, we'll just say that. All right, so really, it's right there in the beginning. Like, this was like the cover that I found, and I was like, "Wow, it kind of explains everything right away."
Wait, is that a pink triangle on the front? Oh,
oh my God. Man, oh man, that's got to be ahead of its time, though.
Yeah, way ahead.
Man, oh man, there's So it's Revenge of the Nerds. We're not going to stay on this picture too long. Although you look at that face and you're like, how could anything be so bad in this? I have to say, the Adams is an awesome name. Like it is just It's like right to the point. Adams. Um, so, and you see this as a shirt, and it's like, man, I wish I had that. I just want to wear that on the show tonight. But
PNC, that made me laugh. Your comment made me laugh. That's funny.
what do you say?
It's a total nerd comment. The Triforce with Zelda's panties.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. So it obviously starts off with Gilbert. Does it start off with Gilbert? Yeah, with his mom. His mom's talking to him. He's acting like he doesn't want to leave. And I only threw her in here because I couldn't find a picture of Gilbert and Lewis together.
Mm.
I have to say this. Lewis was banging Gilbert's mom.
Yeah, you think?
If you watch the beginning, the way he's talking to her, I'm like, yes, they were. He wasn't going to college a virgin. All right, I am 100%.
They had that nice going away kiss too.
Yes, yeah, like it's like, I mean, at some point, you would have thought that Gilbert would have been like, Lewis, why are you over here when I'm not here? So I just had to throw her in there, but again, you get this like, I guess it's the beginning, so you're finding out what nerds they are. He's already dressed. Even though we know he's a nerd, it is hard to kind of see him after knowing that, who he does go on to play in other TV shows and one specific movie.
Well, but he was a doctor, so the doctor had to have been a nerd at some point. So I just think of that as his full character arc from Revenge of the Nerds to being a doctor.
Yeah, because there's so many doctor shows, and every single one of them has like numerous hot nurses and doctors,
Right.
just littered throughout it. So we get this car scene, and now I think we, at our age, we've all driven in the bench front seat wagon at one time, the station wagon, but the bench front seat. Yep. I don't remember ever sitting in, having three people in the front seat when there's more than enough room in the back to have somebody. But they all seem to want to pile in together.
With a drive that long, somebody be crashed out in the back seat.
But as they're driving and they're basically going, he's got the calculator out and they're talking. The dad is just a creep, right? I mean, he hits creepy on so many levels. Like that he was going in to fill in for Lewis while they were gone. But when they get to the point and they break down how many people that there are, and he breaks down how many boobs there are.
Yes.
It makes you laugh. And the dad's he's making his jokes about don't you just go there for sex? And well, obviously he's another nerd too. I mean, he just fits in there perfectly.
Well, he is Zephram Cochrane, right? I mean,
I was trying to avoid it to the end. This picture here is it emphasizes exactly how he is, just his nerd laugh, and man, those nerd laughs. After I rewatched this again, I knew that I had seen it parts. I couldn't remember if I'd seen the whole thing. Everything kind of came flooding back to me. Everything came flooding. Like, oh my god, I remember this part. I remember that. But I had to throw in this picture of him just in his nerd laugh and.
That's interesting. PNC. He asked the actor how he came up with the nerd laugh, and he says James Cromwell came up with it. So. I
can fully see that. Yeah. I can fully see that because he is. He fits in he just fits it perfect. Even as Zephram Cochrane, he is a nerd that doesn't want to be a nerd in many ways. Let's see. He and his dad are the same age.
Same age.
Yeah, I love stuff like that when you start seeing stuff about how old certain people are. Um, so they drop him off, and I kind of threw this one in. We'll go back really quick here. They drop him off, and he has this. Did I do it out of order? I thought that I had one. Yeah, so
when they dropped him off and they're going across, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have this big, huge trunk, which I couldn't figure out. Who the hell goes with such a big trunk? No, stop this. Stop. No, go. You just started to sit down. Now they got this big, huge trunk, which no one else has a big trunk this big.
Not that you saw anyway.
Yeah, well, they decided to walk across the campus with it. And anyone that's carried anything this big, like, I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Yes. I'm looking at this going, how much would you have smashed it into your shins?
Yep.
Across the whole thing. But I do find it funny as they're walking across, like, how many people they're, like, just going across their lunch, knocking over the basket as they're having, a picnic.
Yeah.
But I did find it funny that Ogre just sees two people carrying this, and he is holding some guy by his ankle and just drops him to yell nerds.
Allison, I have a theory about what he's going to do with all the junk in the trunk. He's going to put the dead bodies in there.
And it's funny because it's like he doesn't know who he's like. One of them doesn't realize who he's talking to, and the other one's like, I think he's talking to us.
Yeah.
Though I do have to say, the part where they get to almost their dorm and the two bikes run into each other, they knock the one person. I was laughing.
Mass chaos.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, that's something that you would have seen in the Naked Gun or Airplane or different things like that.
Yep.
That definitely made me laugh when it came to that. PNC said Ogre called me a nerd. And I couldn't remember if it was this movie or later on when Ogre joins them. And it's obviously not this one. I'm not spoiling anything, I don't believe. And Allison here says you could fit like 3 in there. And then and adds that and chunky body, so So here they get to the freshman dorm, which again, I just keep looking at this big thing and I think of how many times I've had to move things, and I haven't moved many times in my life, but helping other people move, and I always get asked because it's like, hey, you work out, want to help me move, and it's like, I don't work out to help anyone move, all right? Like, every once when I started working out or when I've been in the gym, I'm like, someday someone's gonna ask me to lift something heavy.
It's like saying, I don't have a pickup truck to help you move. That's not why I have my pickup truck.
You know what? That is probably the best analogy right there. Hey, you have a pickup truck. You want to help me move? Not really. Matter of fact, I just put the tarp on it. You know how hard those things are. Just stretch and get on there. So carrying this thing up, and again, I don't see anyone else with trunks. Everyone's just coming in with their luggage.
Suitcase, yeah.
I didn't understand why they couldn't pull the station wagon closer. I
can't drive on campus, right? Nerds can't drive on campus.
Yeah, but Dad was driving. I mean, that guy flies the first space shuttle or not space shuttle, but first warp drive. So he can get there.
Well, he's no Clark Griswold, so he's not going.
I have a feeling that some of those movies, maybe some that don't age all that well either.
Oh, I love the Christmas Vacation one. The other ones, I don't know, but
the European one.
No, that one didn't age well. No.
Yeah, and then you get to this, where they finally get it up there, and he refers to them not girls, but women, and you're like, at this point, you're just like, this is really cheesy.
Hey, they're of age of consent now, so
Yes, yeah, and obviously, the dad was very wanted to definitely let them know that, hey, you know what, this is what you're there for, But he's proud of them, and his dad would be proud of them too.
yeah.
Obviously, his dad must have died, I would assume, or maybe he just left them, and he would still be proud.
I assume he died with the way they talk about it.
Yes, yeah, we just kind of assume
And
that.
then he fell into the loving arms of his friend's mother.
By the end of the fourth one, they must have been like stepbrothers, right? Right?
Yeah.
So for some odd reason, I forgot. I don't know how, because I remember looking it up, but I needed to get a picture of the party,
The frat party where they burn their frat house down.
And just going back, and I don't know why I didn't get a picture, and I even meant to go back and get it when I realized it didn't have one, but the guy is blowing these fireballs, which I would assume if you knew a friend that could do it, you would probably ask them 1,000 times to do it.
Yeah.
It didn't make no sense why he decided to turn directly at the drapes.
Nobody could see the fireball. He turned away from everybody who could see the fireball. Why would he go that way?
And then burns the whole house down. No one even tries to put it out. And now,
nope, not even one person tried to put it out.
No. And I have to say that as someone who just watched a townhouse 300 feet from my house burn down, the firefighters were not going to let you sit around there and cook marshmallows, as Ogre was, with two girls right next to him. I'm glad they saved the marshmallows so
they could have something to eat.
Yes, I mean, because they burnt down their house. And so then you have the conversation which is right away. It doesn't even take time. Like, they're talking to the dean, and the coach is pretty much like, hey, we have a big game. They need somewhere to stay. What about the freshman dorm? Now, at the beginning, we saw how many people were piling into this dorm.
Yep.
What I see here is a very, very, very small football team, but they need the whole dorm to themselves. Like, there was no way they could relocate these maybe 13 guys.
Right.
But they throw the one guy out the window. They don't even want to get one guy get dressed. He's in his tighty whities. And he just walks across campus as they all leave into the gymnasium.
I mean, this is so ridiculous. I mean, we're going to get to some other stuff later that's even more ridiculous. But I mean, seriously, this kind of stuff couldn't happen. I mean, there's a board. There's people in charge. They don't let the kids be in charge.
And the other thing why a lot of, I believe, 80s movies do not age well is because today you have the internet that you just know, like, that you can't do that. Where, like, back then, like, people didn't realize you couldn't do it. Karate Kid, perfect example.
Yeah.
Like, I was scared to take karate. My mom wanted me to. I saw Cobra Kai. I assumed that's how every dojo was going to be.
No mercy.
Yes. I was wrong. There weren't too many that were like that.
They want to keep their students. They're not going to treat them like that. They're paying customers.
And speaking of the Karate Kid, there is a crossover in here.
Yes, there is.
Which
great crossover.
Because he really has nothing to do with the Karate Kid, other than they needed color in there. Other than Miyagi, like. So they all end up in the gymnasium, which I think it's hilarious that they're still playing basketballs. You can see the basketballs hitting the drapes there that is
seriously. Now this is against the Geneva Convention. You just can't do that.
um, but they have this whole cop thing, and you look at this and like seriously, as an adult, all you look at is like it's a refugee camp. Like that's
Yes.
exactly what it is. This is a
Yep.
refugee camp. But yeah, at least you can go play, basketball. But they did say they had till, they can stay there as long as they want or until basketball season started.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, again, just some of the stuff is pretty funny. All the different things they're playing, and throughout the passage of this, you'll see like the balls come down and smash into things. You kind of get a better look at Booger. Like he's the one who really he stands out.
Yeah.
So they're all offered to go and look for fraternities to join, which I did not go to college. Were you not allowed to join a fraternity as a freshman?
Usually not. They try to see if you're going to pass your classes before that you get involved with that kind of stuff.
I didn't realize fraternities were like sanctioned per se. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So there's different fraternities for different things and sororities for different things too. Today, there's a lot more academic sororities and fraternities, but back then it was more specific to a skill set. So it was a networking system. So if you were going to be in business, you'd be in one type of fraternity. If you're going to be in sports, you'd do another. If you're going to be in computers, you'd do another. They all had their own groups of networking to get to know a group of people that would help propel your career after college.
Oh, I'll be 100% honest. The most I know about a fraternity is old school.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, God. Let's see. PNC, I feel like it's time for a change, though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's talking about his license plate, probably, because his license plate says Booger.
Oh, yeah. But they all go out and look, and of course, they all have to whittle it down to it. There's only specific people that can't find fraternities. These guys, the girls set them up.
Yep.
So they go back to the original dorm that they were in for at least.
Well, I mean, come on, man. He puts himself out there, and he like this pretty girl, and he asks her out, right? And so she's talking to him, so he convinced him to go join the fraternity. No, they're really great guys. Yeah, sure, that'll be good.
He falls for it a lot too.
Yeah, he does.
He falls for it a lot too. And in the end, I guess it does work out for him.
Yeah.
So they come back tar and feathered, though you don't see any tar. But now I couldn't find a picture, and I didn't look too hard either. But I gotta say this, Lewis. Someone needed to buy him. Wow, someone needed to spend some money to have him get that Wookiee back and chest and shoulders shaven, because holy crap! Like I it took me like I had to check it out but look a couple times. Like, does he really have that much hair just on his shoulders? Like, I do not. I guess I am listen, I have small hands. I don't have a lot of hair. Right? I was looking for a picture that kind of would show, but I wasn't going to look too hard. And I want to say that this was. I think I missed a few things here, but I had to include this because this may have been the worst workout I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Right? Yeah, no kidding. I hate workout scenes in the 1980s movies because looking at it from my perspective with what I do for a living, I'd be like, no, don't do that. You're going to have shoulder surgery. No, don't do that. You're going to have back surgery.
The problem is, I don't even know what he was doing. He was going up like this.
Swimmers, man. You've never seen people do swimmers in the gym?
No, I have not.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, man. But people do it, and they still do it today. They'll sit there and they'll go like this, and they're just waiting to shred a rotator cuff muscles, man. But people do it. They think it's strengthening their arms.
Oh my God! I was watching that, and I was feeling sick. Where Olger was doing proper preacher curls, like
Right. Yep.
not preacher curls,
Well,
curls with preacher
bicep
bump.
curls. Yeah.
Yeah. Preacher curls are on the preacher bench. This is the easy curl bar. But okay, so I think I got kind of confused here. This is right after was this after they invited them to the sorority part or to the party when they were on
I think this was the setup for the
yes.
invitation. So she's coming over there to talk to him, and then they're going to set up the party that nobody's going to show up to.
Yes, because how dare nerds ask them to come to the party?
Right. Yep.
because this is when he convinces, or he's able to get him to do like one more curl because of nerds.
nerds.
But she's like so insulted that like, how dare they come back and ask? Which at the same time, it's like she just set you up. Why are you going back there?
Right. Yeah.
But they were on the not trial. Yeah, like the trial period for the one fraternity that had to allow them, which clearly was a black fraternity.
I don't. Has that happened yet? Oh.
Yeah, I think that they had already seen them because the next that's the party that they're having. It's for the fraternity to show them.
Yep.
None of the girls show up. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah. Let's go back for a second. Let's talk about that fraternity setup thing.
Yeah.
Because they sent out all the applications to go out to all the fraternities, and they're like, yeah, we sent pictures to all of them. Which one didn't we send pictures to? Lambda. And they had to have a meeting with them. So they had to, according to their bylaws, allow them into the fraternity because it was a probationary period time. And it's kind of a big deal because everybody else just took one look at them and said, nerds, nope, they're out, which is interesting. But
okay, I didn't catch that. So yeah, they didn't send a picture to them. So they didn't realize that they weren't a black fraternity.
Yeah.
Because even though they never say they're a black fraternity, it's clearly implied.
It's clearly, yes. Yes.
Which is fine because there are some things, Alice and I had quickly discussed some things. There are some things in here that are kind of over the top, but it doesn't really cause an issue. And we'll get to that in a minute. So, so all the girls show up because they're all in on it because that's how fraternities and sororities work. If one's in on it, they're all in on it. They go and sing to them that they will be there.
They can't wait to be there.
Now you got this candle. So they're all stoked and think, hey, you know what?
Looking all wholesome and chaste.
And there's and you got the fraternity guy. This guy right here, he seems a little old, don't you think? Like the way he kind of acts in some ways, like these are all little kids or younger adults.
The guys from the Tri-Lam committee, or who are you talking about?
The tall black guy.
Oh yeah. Well,
he seems a little too old to be like checking out the parties.
Oh yeah. He should have his other guy do it, right?
Yes.
But no, they had to show the presence of the president of the fraternity, right? He had to show up.
So here they are. You know, at first there weren't any girls there at all, and they're doing their stupid little stuff. Finally, after the girls don't show up, the one girl that Gilbert had befriended and obviously ends up dating says, "I'll invite the Gamma Mu. What are they?
The Omega Moos. The Omega Moos. I mean,
I have to go back.
How could you get a more conspicuous name than the Omega Moos?
Wait, hold on. I want to see what Allison says here. Despite some of the time humor, there's a remarkable lot of tolerance, progressiveness, and how non-white, non-hetero characters are presented. And I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, but there was one thing that I did forget. So after after Gilbert does meet, I have her name written down here, Judy, right? Yeah, Judy. And then they say, like, they're talking about how he met, and he says, "Oh, Gilbert met someone," and Booger automatically looks and says, "Bill, big deal. Did you get in her pants?" And he says, "No." He replies, "Why? Does she have a penis?" It's like, I'm like, but you know what? I'm sorry to any women that are watching now or watch later. That is the type of shit we may have said back then. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, especially back in the 80s, 90s. There's a lot of things that men might say. Why does she have a penis? Which, again, in this day and age, you might actually have to ask.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, well, and yeah, going back to a little bit earlier when the young kid was brought in too, I thought there's a lot of inappropriateness going on with this young kid who's
yeah.
going to college, and then his best friend happens to be Lamar, or the guy that comes and takes him under his wing. It's like,
So there was another part before this, if I am correct, where Lamar and
I can't think of his name right now.
yeah,
but they were doing the dance aerobics, jazzercise.
yes, we haven't even discussed this, and I'm like,
that was disturbing.
Even if I can find a picture, I am not putting it in because he's sitting there just in his underwear doing, which in all honesty, how many Underoos commercials were there back when?
Yeah.
But I looked at that and I'm like, there's some things that probably, and again, I was just talking about how we're watching the new Doogie Howser, and she graduated at like 17 from med school. You went to med school, so you know it's not that easy.
Right.
But yeah, that was one of the things that I'm like, even if I can find a picture, I am not putting that because this thing will be red flagged all over. Nor do I want that on my computer anywhere.
Exactly. Yes.
So anyway, they're trying to get through this. No girls show up. So then she says, well, we invite the Omega Moos, which of course we don't know who the Omega Moos are yet, but Booger kind of intimates exactly that we're going to find out that they are bigger women, which they all weren't, but
no, they weren't. Some of them were very tall, though.
Yes, and one of them was a very, I would say they emphasized the red dot on her forehead more than what you would see in real life.
Right? Yeah,
that was a little glossed over.
Yeah,
but going back to kind of what Allison said here, like here's Lamar. Because he mentions that Lamar has a date, and he's like with a guy, but like here's Lamar dancing, with the guy. I don't know if it's his boyfriend or his date or whatever. No one says a word. Like there's no issue.
Nobody cares.
He's gay. He's just a gay character.
Right.
They have an issue that he's a nerd. Right, which is what you find kind of comical. It's like it's not that he's black. It's not that he's gay. It's that how dare he be a nerd.
Right.
And when you think back and you look at it, it's like, coming up as a punk skateboarder, it's kind of like we were always the outcast. So,
yeah,
to me, I really wouldn't have thought too much of it, but you look back at it now, it's like it is pretty progressive that it had nothing to do with the color of their skin, what their sexual orientation was. Although it did break the stereotypes that blacks and gays can dance. He was both of them. Maybe too positive, make it negative. No, too positive, make it positive.
Well, so I think this movie actually did set a precedent because moving forward now in everything we see today, there has to be some, flamboyantly gay guy who's black in everything moving forward. And I think they stole it from this. And they said everybody liked Lamar.
Yeah, and you know what? Through and obviously we'll see, as it progresses to the Olympics there. I don't think they ever once said that he was gay. It's just like he is. He's has a
Yeah.
date, with a guy. No one cares. None of them say anything. So it is nice that it's kind of.
I think that had something to do with the censors. I don't think that they could actually say that in the movie.
Oh, well, that would kind of make some sense.
I believe at that time it would have given it an X rating if they had actually said those words.
Wow, they even said it in the Flintstones.
Well, but
so I had to throw this in here because I can't think of any movie earlier than this where someone breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
He clearly looks at the camera to insinuate that, yep, which is, again, he's already short, but these are two a little bit taller women. I don't want to say bigger women because they're not bigger, taller women. But he clearly breaks the fourth wall by looking directly into the camera with this very geeky smile, and really bad hair. How did anyone?
So this is straight out of a Woody Allen movie. This is stolen from a Woody Allen movie.
Is it?
Yeah, because he broke the fourth wall all the time. People a long time ago broke the fourth wall, but this looks exactly like either a Jerry Lewis or a Woody Allen scene.
Oh, you know what? Yep. Now, hold on. So wait, PNC says Airplane. I don't remember that in Airplane. I'm not saying you didn't. I like Airplane.
Airplane broke the fourth wall. Airplane broke all the rules.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, they did. But Airplane wasn't a real movie when you think about it. Airplane to me was a here's what we're gonna do. We have to get to this point. You guys are funny. Do what you need to do. There's no real script, and it actually worked.
Oh no, there was a plan for that one for sure.
I know, but it's
police
that's
squad
one
moving forward.
That's one where you just see so much improvising.
Yeah. Poindexter.
Yes, the Poindexter dance, which again, when I saw this again, I was like, God, I remember this. I remember it really is funny because I think it's done so well where he's just kind of standing there all stagnant, and then all of a sudden his legs start going, and it's like you're getting this beat, and this girl who's completely trying to have sex with him, so she finally has to just flat out ask. Women, you hear that? Just ask us, all right?
We're a little dense sometimes.
Yes, and let's be honest. How many times do you guys get asked out and you say no? It's easier if you ask a guy out. And his glasses and everything, it completes his character. Because you have to say, all the characters are pretty distinctively different, other than even the main two characters are different. They just look very similar. But their characters.
That's the point. They're all supposed to be different. They're nerds.
Yeah,
they don't. They don't assimilate.
Yeah. He says that's the Field of Dreams guy.
Yeah.
That's what's funny about Airplane. Most of the cast were serious actors. Yeah.
Well, comedians make the best serious actors because if you can do comedy, you can do anything.
It is amazing that how many actors will say that comedy is the hardest form to do. You would think it's the easiest, probably because everyone wants to be funny.
Well, if you go back and think about it, all of the best comedians played. If they were the best actors and best comedians, they always played the dumb guy in all the skits, the butt of the joke, so that they could set it up and do the payoff for the joke. I go back to Smothers Brothers, but the dumb one was the one who wrote everything and set it all up. So it's funny how that plays out with comedy and drama and
it always does seem weird when you see a comedian like Jim Carrey do a very serious role and see how well he does act.
He can kill it if he wanted to.
Yeah, because all I see is Vera DeMilo and Fire Marshal
Ace Ventura.
The first Ace Ventura, because that second one is awful.
The second one is so bad.
Quick story. I remember we went and saw Ace Ventura, the second one, at the movie theater. The only time throughout the whole movie that I laughed was when he's having a chat with someone and he's shooting the blow darts, but you don't know what he's. And then all of a sudden you see that it's this guy that's standing on on the tree stump, and he's not allowed to get off, and he has all the blow darts in him. It was the only time that I laughed throughout that whole movie. And I saw it at the movie theater. So,
I was in South Carolina with a bunch of people one time, and they were so proud of the fact that they filmed Ace Ventura, the second one, in their little town.
I'm sorry for them. I am truly sorry for them.
Yeah, of course, PNC, the rhino scene. Of course, the rhino scene makes the best memes ever. But man, come on.
I don't even remember it.
When he climbs out of the rhino's rear.
I don't remember
that.
No. I kind of remember the memes, but
yeah.
Let's see. Allison said, I literally had to tell my current boyfriend on our first date when he missed the point several times. I'm a sure thing.
Sometimes you got to spell it out for us. I'm just saying.
So I have to address this. So this is clearly where Lewis finally gets to have sex with someone his own age, not his best friend's mom. And they go up there. Then he comes out, like Hugh Hefner. But how come nothing ever more gets addressed that he went up with this girl? Like, she was clearly into him. He seemed into her. But then they dropped that whole plot point because they had to get to the point where he was still in love with the blonde, which I couldn't understand, like, why they made it seem like, his best friend met someone there, and then he did too, but like she just gets dropped, never seen again.
Well, because the late 60s, 70s, and early 80s were all about casual sex. And so this was just a one-off. Okay. It's just what happened. I mean, if you think about context and the time frame of the way things moved in the world, this was before the AIDS pandemic, right? So you had this whole thing going on with that. So people were concerned about it, about anything like that, and so it was just a casual thing. It's just something that happened.
But it was just to me it seemed like how they were early on. It seemed like they were kind of hooking them up to where, like, later on, like they would be a couple. But it would have ruined the whole plot point. But
I wonder if in the writing that there may have been something like that, but then they got rid of it because of the other thing that they wanted to do. The other part of the story is more important, and this one was just a fling, so they could write it off as just that.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where, where did the pigs go? I had pictures with the pigs. So,
oh, come on.
Man.
Where did they get all those pigs?
Well, they had a truck, a big flatbed with barrels of hay. So they let the pigs in. I have a feeling we might hit that picture. I don't know why I would have had out of order. They let the pigs in. Obviously, we know the reason why. They never really addressed what happened to the pigs. Did they make them into bacon later, ham? And then they all run out to the front, and they're all there to moon them, other than the girls, which were the only butts I wanted to see.
Right.
Including the guy that's, the president of Lambda Lambda there. And he's right there. And I have to say, like, throughout it, throughout the movie, even though the president really wasn't happy with them, he always seemed more disgusted with how they were being treated.
Yes.
Like, throughout the whole, like, these guys are really trying, even though we don't really want them. He just didn't want them because he didn't, it's kind of implied, in my opinion, that he just kind of didn't want them because that they were they didn't fit into their fraternity. But
Yeah.
he seemed more disgusted with how they were being treated.
Well, I think that was on purpose, and he saw a connection, a brotherhood with them because of the way they are being treated and the way he has been treated in his life, probably.
Yep. So then they have to come up with a plan to get back at these people. And because they're nerds.
And he's got an idea.
They not only have all of the equipment that would even be probably wouldn't be too difficult today, but let's say 10 years ago, this type of stuff would still have been difficult to do. Today, probably not.
In the 80s, this thing would have been so hard to do. I mean, they hardly had any cameras that were that small.
Well, the cameras weren't that small.
Right.
So they break into the house. They drill holes while people are right there, but they put a silencer on the drill, which I've never once heard of.
Hey, in the 80s, everybody was listening to big hair music all the time or having their blow dryers on all the time. I mean, come on, it's the girls' dorm. I mean, they're always primping and curling their hair, right?
I drill a small pilot hole, and there's dust all on the floor.
Everywhere.
They drill like big holes. Buddy, you gotta stop for a second, all right? No, not right now. Go lay down. Go lay down. Hey, stop looking at me like that. I can't do nothing. So they start setting all this up. They're able to get up into the attic. They're able to get into the dorms without anyone seeing it.
How the heck did they get into the attic?
I mean, who knows? Let's see. I never understood why none of them noticed those big ass cameras lenses sticking out of the ceiling. PNC, funny thing you bring that up because before we started, that was one of the things that I brought up to Matthew. Like, I may not notice a small hole in my ceiling right away, but I think that if I walked into my house and there was a hole that's about 6 inches and there was multiple ones throughout my house, I probably would notice going, I don't remember that hole being there or that camera sticking out. So, here we have, what was her name again? Betty Childs. Yeah, Betty just walking in. And there's Lewis just somehow made it into her bedroom.
Playing the whole psycho thing. I mean, when if he didn't have a knife right there, he would have been straight psycho.
Now, in defense of this whole scene, they had to do this so they could get out of the attic and off the roof.
Yes.
So there is that plot that, hey, you know what? Of course, nobody notices them. That still didn't make a lot of sense. None of them seemed to notice that they left the rope there when they came down too. Like, you think someone would have said, "Why was the rope up there? We should probably go up there and see what they did."
So, have you ever seen the show Futurama?
I mean, I know it. I've never really been into it that much.
That show is so amazing. It's better than The Simpsons by far. But there's a scene where the robot goes to robot college to learn new skills, and he gets brought into a fraternity, and it's the nerd fraternity. And they do a whole Revenge of the Nerds episode.
Oh, really?
And they do a panty raid.
So
it always reminds me of this.
So they're breaking out, and of course, if you watch this with your parents, I don't know which one of you are scarred worse. All right, because there's a lot of boobs in here.
There's a lot of boobs in here.
There's a lot of bush beer in here.
Yes,
not a lot. One bush beer, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So they go through all this, and everyone gets out, and now they have to watch the video, which
now I remember the first time I saw this movie was on regular television,
Yes.
right? And I was a kid, and I got to see this on regular television, and some of the stuff was not edited out.
But you know what? Porky's was also on, and I do not remember
That's true.
Porky's, but I know Porky's was inappropriate. And even though this is not the same genre, Just One of the Boys, which was many of us the first time we ever saw boobs, I don't remember that being edited out where she shows her boobs. Maybe they were blurred out. I don't remember. But if you've seen Just One of the Boys, you remember that's how she proves that she's a woman. So.
Right. Yep.
But so they do this, and then before they get back at the jocks, they're all watching it, and you know they're scrolling through it. They're seeing different, different girls that are getting dressed. And of course, no one notices the camera, as PNC had pointed out. It's just there.
And the fact that they can zoom and move it. I mean, those little motors, they were so loud back then.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
You know what? I have a Wise camera that moves, and it still makes a lot of noise. You would hear it now, all right? And I couldn't get this picture. I probably could have found it, but it'd be a little racy. They're watching it when they go to bed, and then Lamar wakes up and comes down. And then obviously Lamar is not interested in watching this, you know. He was all for getting back at them. And he makes the comment about, you know, you're still watching this. But in the meantime, what's it say? Lewis wants to keep going back to Betty, who is sleeping.
Hold on. We can't forget the Poindexter scene.
Yes.
The whole reason that Poindexter's a name called right now is because of this movie, and
yeah.
right there watching that.
Yeah, you're right. He yes. But again, that doesn't make a lot of sense because technically he already had it earlier or maybe they never made it there. Maybe they never made it to that point because the pigs were let in.
Yeah.
But he goes back to Betty, who is sleeping. She's topless, but she's face down, you know, with only her panties. There's not a blanket around her. Now, I don't know how many women sleep only in their panties, face down, with no blankets around them, completely exposed. I mean, I think in a sorority house, you're going to have, and I understand a lot of people sleep naked, you know, more power to you, but usually you have a blanket somewhere in the vicinity. But she's so now they got to get back at the guys. And, you know, anyone that's listened to sports or whatever, or even had to use something like this, at times has gotten this on something that you don't want to. Now, you don't put it on there per se, but we've all, well, not all of us, but many of us have accidentally had some sort of icy.
So I've got a little story about this one. We were on our way to the Pan American Championships in Puerto Rico one time, and we're getting ready to go. And there's another movie called The Best of the Best, right? And then one of the guys shaves his head because he thinks it'll make him move faster, right? So we're flying down there, and one of our guys is sitting there, and he's like moving like this. He's like going like this. And I go, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And he said, "I nared my chest and I got it on my nipples."
Oh my gosh.
And so they were burning the whole time. And I said, "Why the hell did you do that?" And he said, "I got such a hairy chest, I thought removing it would make me go faster."
Wow. That is there was a girl that I was dating when I used to shave my head, and she had nair, and I was like, what if I put nair on my head? Would it make it so I wouldn't have to shave it? And they're like, you can try that, but sometimes it comes in patchy. And I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that. Like, if it's one thing, if it's like something where it's like, hey, you know what? If like you put it on underneath your, your armpits or whatever, and maybe less of it comes in, but it's kind of patchy, you're gonna shave it anyway. But I'm like, nope, I don't need like patchiness on my head.
We made fun of him for that forever.
So they decide they're gonna put this icy hot in their jocks, which I think is actually kind of funny. I mean, this is
That's
a
funny.
total 80s trope right here. Like,
Yeah, the prank.
yeah. So they all end up there. Ogre is the only one that doesn't seem to notice for for a bit, while John Goodman is giving his speech, going off, and then they all run off into the locker room, and then he finally said, "We didn't even practice," or something.
We forgot to practice.
And Ogre's the one that goes in after. So these are all things we have to kind of keep in mind as we get towards the end of this movie, which there's a part that makes me definitely laugh. Mm-hmm. So their whole point is they need to get someone in charge. They need to get someone that's in charge.
Let's go back just a little bit and talk about the Greek Council.
Yes,
and the Greek Council had way too much power to determine the trajectory of students' lives in this movie. They had way too much control over the campus because whoever controls the Greek Council controls the law on campus. That doesn't even make sense that you would put students in charge of that. Yeah, maybe, okay, input, sure. But to actually deny access for something that is so blatantly obvious is absolutely ridiculous. That you let the coach and the athletes get away with it when they know they're railroading somebody. But
well,
anyway.
I mean, not that I ever want to. I mean, you look at Ohio State football. I mean, they run that place. Those kids don't go to school.
Fair. All right. I mean, but they don't control. They don't control the whole campus and all of the other students.
I guess that is true. But they also don't only have. I mean, if you only have 15 football players, you have to. I mean, you have to protect them. All right, considering.
Okay.
Just how many it takes to field a whole football team on one side of the ball and the other side of the ball. These guys are playing on time. All right.
I don't think this is a Division I school. I'm just saying.
Adams. All right. So basically, they're now trying to get in charge of the Greek Council, which, of course, why wouldn't it be controlled by Olympic Games? It's kind of like the Office Olympics in The Office.
Yeah, but this isn't the Olympic Games. This is something straight off of a Japanese TV show. Yeah. I mean, these are college games.
So
I'm surprised they did the old carry the pickle in the butt trick.
I just like the fact that they are endorsing drinking and driving here. I mean, that's truly what it is, right? It's like, who can drink and drive the best just on a tricycle? But they know what chemical that you can drink so you don't get drunk. Because, hey, no internet. How would everyone else know other than the smart kids, right?
Nerds.
So they do this tricycle, which, listen, even as a very, very small, it's not easy, right? So, I give anyone big, and these tricycles are obviously a little bit bigger, but I did find this one funny. This one I found absolutely, because it's obviously the different teams.
But who determines who's pulling for against the other team? I mean that should be a standard, right?
But I think but on the board I believe they showed who was going up against who.
Oh, okay.
I believe on the board it showed like what event. So they obviously they went up, and first they throw their guy off right away. The jocks do, but then you get Ogre who has.
Did you see PNC there?
I have Ogre right here. I have Ogre right here. I didn't realize I have Ogre sitting right here.
There it is. Did you see what PNC said there?
Where
he asked him about the tricycle scene, and he said that the beers were real. He said they told him they had mock-ups, but they took the real ones instead.
When you see him trying to give him drink the stuff that's supposed to counter, you could tell he looked like he was a little inebriated.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you? It's not like this. He's not like you were going to win some award for this, right? Like, let it play out as, hey, we're really drunk. We've seen other movies that do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we have the arm wrestling, which I did find the arm wrestling kind of funny. When you watch the nerds really get beat. Now, I have such a fear of arm wrestling because you've seen people snap their arms.
Oh yeah. Rotator cuffs. But this girl that's fighting Booger here, she must have known the over-the-top method.
Yes. So, like, I haven't had people over the years want to arm wrestle me because I was bigger, I'm short, but I will not arm wrestle because I have nothing to prove. Like, I've never worked out to arm wrestle. All right. And I just have this unnatural fear of losing, and not losing an arm, but losing and something breaking.
Yeah.
Not even tearing, something breaking.
And you skateboard?
Let's not even get into that. So, you did just kind of. All right. This is kind of oxymoronic. Yes, I will go out and ride a skateboard, which that would probably break more limbs than. There've probably been more limbs broken in skateboarding this year so far than arm wrestling in the eternity of arm wrestling, to be honest. But I did find this funny, like you're watching the different arm wrestling and the nerds getting beat, and I do like that it wasn't always just the same people. There were other ones that they did throw in there, so it wasn't the whole like, why is it only these two? Why are there other people? Like, if you ever watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I love,
great show. Great show.
But how come no one was ever in the library? It was Giles and those three people.
Yep.
4 people, whoever it was. No one else ever came in and said, I need to check out a book. I need to study.
Unless they needed somebody to come by and say, shh.
I'm sorry, what?
All right. I said, unless they needed somebody to come by and say, shh.
Yeah. So Tug of War, this was total filler. They had to show some.
Yep, you're roboting a little bit. It's the A-Team's scenes.
Yeah. Why am
there you go.
Freezing up?
Yeah, you're good now.
Hold on. Oh, hold on 1 second.
All right. Yeah, the Tug of War scenes. Yeah, it's a bunch of filler stuff that's going by. It's like the A-Team montage scene, the 1980s montage of all the stuff that's going on around you. So you got to throw a whole bunch of crap in there and see what happens. This is what's really happening behind the scenes.
The A-Team montage scenes are still some of the greatest scenes in TV history.
Absolutely. I love that show.
Honestly, like you were watching to see like what they were building, and you were invested in that minute to minute and a half. It probably wasn't even that long, to be honest, but they had everything.
It was probably about a minute and a half. Yeah. I think that's about right. And it's quick shots with exciting music, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, and you have like BA mad at something Murdoch was doing, or Murdoch doing something crazy, and Hannibal with his smirk on his face,
and Face just slicking back his hair.
exactly, not getting his hands dirty. So we did the belching contest, which, of course, I think we all can figure out who this was going to come down to. It had to come down to Ogre and Booger. Yeah.
Yep.
So you have Ogre that does his burp, who probably had a bigger burp in real life.
Right.
And then we have
the champ,
the 84 Adams College Belching Contest champion. I would have no idea that's what his name was. But and this is one of those things where if you've never even seen this movie, you've probably heard this clip at some point, or you've seen the video, or some radio station that you watch plays this just as a filler joke. So there's absolutely no doubt at all about this, that you have seen this at some point. Okay, hold on one second. Let me see if I can get Andrew to let you out. Hold on.
Yeah, this whole burping scene, it reminded me of the pie scene, another one, where everybody's eating all the pies and something gross happens, and it's just one of those gross out things.
This dog, when I'm gonna have to do this on my own, especially on Mondays, oh god, it's gonna be in my ass.
You should rename your dog from Roman to PETA.
PETA?
Yeah, pain in the ass.
He is.
My mom named her dog that.
I'm not joking. I will sit up here on Sunday nights. I listen to Chad. I go to Geek Dead Life. I'll listen to Hella Dope Toys, doing stuff for Monday's show for 3 to 5 hours, and he sits on the bed, doesn't say a word, doesn't make a peep, just sits there. But the moment he hears me talking, I need to go outside, even though I don't need to go outside. And all those times that my daughter on Monday lets him out, he runs out and comes back in. But and then
I'm jealous of you talking to other people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, when we get done after midnight, I will watch him and he will run back and forth for like 4 or 5 minutes against the back fence. Just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, listen, come on, I gotta go to bed eventually. So after this, we get into probably
the specially designed javelin.
Yes,
the super dynamic for his limp-wristed throwing technique.
So I think this may be one of the parts that Allison was insinuating is a little stereotypical, to say the least. Yeah. And I also think that most of us as adults, and how probably even as kids, would have realized a javelin like that is not going to go very far.
Not at all. No, that thing's not going to fly anywhere.
A matter of fact, you might be scared of where it actually flies with so much.
It's going to make a sharp turn like that straight into the ground. It's going to be a lawn dart.
Boy, that was something, wasn't it? How did more kids not die from the lawn darts?
My wife just bought a set of lawn darts recently that are in like mint condition, 1968 Hasbro lawn darts.
Honestly, like, how are more kids not impaled by that?
No, yeah, seriously. I mean, well, that's why they don't make them anymore.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it would be like playing horseshoes and you standing like right at the little peg that, like people would have had like shins snapped and stuff from throwing horseshoes. But man, you throw like one lawn dart the wrong way, like up. Like, what kid doesn't throw things directly up on accident or even on purpose?
Yep. Fun for the whole family.
Yes. I know kids did die from lawn darts. I just wonder how there weren't more kids that died from lawn darts. That's what I'm saying.
So, in fact, if list on a website like eBay or Etsy or anything, and you try to sell something that's called lawn darts, they will block you and ban you. They will take it. They will take the sale down and they will remove it because you are not allowed to sell lawn darts in the public eye anymore.
Well, that's because technically you're throwing a really heavy Chinese star up into the sky, knowing that it's going to come down and impale something.
And something, yes.
Like a Chinese star. It has what 6 to 8 points, right?
No, it's a dart. It's a dart.
No, I'm saying a Chinese star.
Okay.
Like a Chinese star, it has all those points. When you throw it, it sticks into something. A lawn dart is sharp. If you throw it up, it's coming down. It's not coming down the opposite way. It's not impossible. Yeah. Physics says it's not possible. It is coming down, straight down, like the A-Team tank in the movie when they were flying the tank. It flies because it's only designed to be thrown by him. It's like, you know what? That is a very valid point there, PNC. It is like the Mjolnir of javelins. So somewhere this thing is sitting that no one can move it.
Right.
Other than
only Lamar.
Yes. Or someone with
a very limp wrist.
The power of Lamar's wrist. And Allison says, I asked the question too when I run into someone especially dumb in public. Like, didn't their parents give them lawn darts? If not, they should have. Allison, you say some stuff that absolutely makes me laugh. Again, this isn't about toys, but you made the comment about my Skeletor, and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to get him. The wash looks so good, so I can throw him in a box and open him up in decades. And you have a very dry tone at times, which I think comes out absolutely hilarious when I watch it.
It's awesome. I love it.
All right, so after this, now you have this.
Oh, there we go. Hey, now remember what they did with the pies, right? They're making all the money with the pies.
Yes. So they have the kissing contest or the kissing booth, which what's his face? What was his name?
Marcy's husband.
I was gonna get that at the end. Stan. That's right. Stan.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I say I can't take anyone named Stan serious, but my father-in-law, or my ex-father-in-law, his name is Stan. He's a great guy. So
Stan Lee, man, come on, Stan Lee.
So he buys this thing to get his kiss, and she's obviously disgusted by it.
Oh yeah,
but she's just about to go on break. So here comes.
Well, but remember the other fundraisers, the pie that they were making that had the naked pictures of her.
Oh, we got that.
Okay.
You'd be surprised how many censored versions of that are when you're looking for pictures.
I bet.
But they can't figure out why how they're losing.
They're selling so many.
And here we have the girl that again Lewis is after, and he has no problems just putting her picture on the bottom of every pie. And obviously, this is another plot point that she obviously forgives him. But then again, this would be the least of what he did to her.
Well, I mean, come on. She seems kind of, a woman of ill repute, so maybe she doesn't mind so much. Maybe it's more publicity for her future career.
So, a quick funny story about something very similar is this girl that we went to school with. I actually ended up dating her a few years ago. She was at the time in high school. She was a little bit older, but we had taken up her picture and her senior picture and put it on a Playboy picture. and we hung it up before this party that we had. And a few of her friends came over and they were really upset about it, so we ended up taking it down. But in the process of doing this, the guy's house that we had this at, he didn't really care about anything per se. We took all his old senior pictures and he helped us, so it's not like he didn't know. And we put his face on all these Playboy pictures and hung them up all over this house at this party. And some of them were like perfect. Actually, the one with the girl, it was perfect. So obviously after the party, we took them all down. He says like, he's telling us like 6 months later, 7 months later, his mom's cleaning. And she pulls out the refrigerator and one had fallen behind there of his face on this Playboy. And she's like, Brandon, what is this? And he's like, oh, we had a party. She never believed that we had this party where we had this hardcore band playing in the basement. There was like 150 people throughout. It was crazy. And she did not believe that we had this big party. And we were sitting there going, yeah, Betty, we had this party. Like, she's like, you guys did not have a party. She finds this picture and she still didn't believe it. So, but this is how they're selling all of these. Everyone's buying this and everything. Ogre eats one with his hands, because who doesn't eat a pie with their hands?
Right. And he's like, it's okay. I mean, it's good. It's fun. Whatever.
Because it must be a really good pie, right?
I mean, he licked it clean, didn't he?
He sure did. So,
the graping.
Yes. So Betty here is trying to get her boyfriend Stan to meet her in the what was it? The moon. I don't know. It was in the moon or whatever.
The moon room, right?
But no one went into. No one went into this bounce house because bounce houses are always dead.
Yeah, but it seemed more like a waterbed. I'm just saying.
And she can't figure out that this nerd feels nothing like her quarterback football playing boyfriend.
Right. I mean, Lewis just steals the costume. That's all he does is put on a cape and a mask, and all of a sudden, bam, it's Stan.
And he refuses to take it off. He obviously does something down.
Well, and then she's like, "Oh, all right, we're into this stuff now." Okay.
Yep. He never looks down.
Again, future career.
Yes. And then when he comes up and she sees who it is, she is kind of taken back at first, but then realizes how great it was. And maybe we didn't know what drapery was back then. I feel like drapery was still something that, was in houses and stuff.
Yeah, it was a thing.
But as Allison says, she is total Stockholm Patty Hearst. Yes.
Right. Yep.
Where did they get the photo?
It's like Jonathan Major's girlfriend. Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
They got the photos because they were taking all the video of them. So all you had to do is print it up. I mean, sure, they probably didn't have the technology back then like we do now. So at this point, she realizes she loves a nerd, like instantly.
Yep.
Which, let's be honest, for most of us as men, that is the last thing we want to hear right after we have.
Well, we got to think about how much practice he had with Gilbert's mom.
Very true.
And then the Omega Mu. I mean, so these are the people we know that he's had.
And she instantly goes and pretty much breaks up with Stan. Like almost instantly.
Well, no, I mean it's not till the end of the movie that she does
which is that night.
Yeah.
Because they end up meeting.
Yep.
So then they have is it even an event at the end? So the guy, and I don't know why I didn't get a picture. The guys act like cheerleaders. The girls act like football players. And this is when she pretty much ends it with him. She tells him
because he's dressing up like a girl. I mean, what kind of signals does that send?
That is true. And she tells them that she's in love with a nerd. Like, she's in love with one. Like, listen, I don't want to be intimate with someone and then instantly them be like, I'm in love with you. And be like, all right, maybe we should see other people. I don't need to see. I don't need to hear that word yet. All right.
Well, that's a big word.
So then they have, and this is another thing where I think that this song resonates in so many people's heads. Everyone has heard it at some point in time, and it's there. And the moment you hear it, let's say if you've never seen this movie, if you watch this, as soon as you hear that, you'd be like, "Oh my god, this is where that song is from."
Yep.
And you have to admit, it is extremely catchy. It is fun. I don't understand the violin because I don't believe a violin makes any of those noises.
It was a digital violin. Come on, man. It's like a synthesizer. I mean, obviously it was hooked up to a MIDI system and they just programmed it. Come on. It's nerd shit, man. Come on.
And here you have, obviously, again, more stereotypes in many ways. It's clearly a kind of breakdown of the village.
They ripped off Devo, man.
Yeah, and the village people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the moose symbol on the back and everything. Again, it is an awesome, and it goes on for quite some time. Probably longer than you would see in most movies, other than Zack Snyder when he does slow motion for everything.
Or he plays that one song that he always plays, "Hello, Darkness, My Old Friend." Has to be in every movie he makes.
And he has the slowest of slow motion. Like, don't you have slow motion a little bit faster? Like, I have to go somewhere, or maybe that's the cue to go pee. So then you come back and you're like,
it's still going on. But I mean, the Nerds had clearly the most produced show out of everybody who was out there. Somehow they got stage technicians to build them the set, set up the neon lights, the strobe lights, the laser lights, and the musical cues with sound and speakers. Man, they had a huge budget for their show. What was everybody else doing?
Well, so you got to look at it. This may have been more, but I think this would have been easier to pull off than breaking into a sorority, putting cameras in a time where cameras were not that readily available, drilling holes, connecting it back to your house so you can control the cameras where they can move and no one could hear it.
Right.
Well, really, this ain't that far-fetched. Again, it kind of goes back to one of our earlier movies when we go, I mean, Arnold gets shot and then he throws a pipe and we're like, but we already established at the beginning he's superhuman because he walks around with trees on his shoulders for no reason.
Right.
Let's see here. PNC says, I recorded this song with a cassette recorder against a TV speaker. You know what?
We've all done that.
Again, things that kids will never understand today because they just pull it up on YouTube.
I pulled out a micro cassette recorder and recorded the entire original Star Wars movie so I could play it back just to hear the music and the vocalization of the movie as a kid.
I honestly, I look at my kids at times and I'm just like, there are certain things, and I love introducing the 80s movies and even like 90s movies, and they just look at things and they're so oblivious to what it is because even like a phone, like even when we were growing up, we may have had like a cordless phone or a punch phone, but we understood what a dial phone was or an answering machine. Kids would have no idea what an answering machine is. What is that thing?
Yep.
First off, what is that? Is that a tape in the middle? Yeah. Or even if they look back at some of the old Transformers, trying to figure out what is Soundwave exactly. He's a cassette. Is it a cassette recorder? What's a cassette? Is a radio.
That's what we made our mixtapes on. Come on, whenever we flew, we had to have the right set of music in there. We could make our mixtapes for our girlfriends, for our road travel. It was awesome. It's like a personal playlist, right?
The thing that I do find funny about technology today is that when we were younger, when we had a Walkman, we were so happy to get rid of the spongy headphones for the ones that kind of dipped in. But now you see people walking around with like the big earmuffs on, and you're going, I don't ever want to wear that. Like,
right.
Like we tried avoiding it. I mean, that is the biggest way to say in a gym, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
the fact that I wear earbuds and people will still come up and talk to you, and you're like, and they're like,
Well,
oh, you can't hear me? So they talk louder, and you're like,
it's better than bringing the boombox in on your shoulder, right? Pretending that you're Matrix carrying your tree trunk right there with your boombox. It's that big as a freaking tree trunk.
You got your boom box up here. You got your weight over in this hand like it's your chain.
Yeah. Boom. Boom.
As you're walking to the next
boom.
bed. So after this is where the coach pretty much tells them they need to get back at them.
Yep.
I couldn't find any pictures of them destroying the house. Right?
Yeah.
So they go back, they destroy the house, which I think is actually funny. They just like smash down the fence. They just smash down the fence. They trash the house. And
they pull bushwhackers on everything. They just go through smashing everything.
Hey, one of the bushwhackers recently died.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
And I hope no one comes in here and makes any jokes about wrestlers dying.
No, we don't need that.
No, please don't do that. I would never do that to someone else's stream. Let's see here. Allison says, I'm wearing the earmuff headset right now as I listen to this. Listen, man,
it's an immersive experience. Nobody else can hear it. It's good. It's all right, Allison. We understand.
All I have to say is I just see my Fisher Price tape recorder, and I know exactly what she taught. Like I can see it, like. And I didn't have one, but we all knew someone that had. We've all used one at one point. Even if our parents didn't buy one, it was either at our grandparents' house or at a cousin's house or a friend's house. We all had one.
Somebody had one.
Like it was a boombox for the most part. I mean, just not as good as speakers. Oh yeah, they just smashed the robot.
Yep. They broke the robot. That's why the robots want their revenge, is because they were smashed in this movie.
That's why we're all going to die soon from AI when they take over. So they destroy the house, and this is where the nerds have to draw the line.
Yep.
Now, as he's trying to get to him, there's other stuff that happens. They pretty much don't let him there until obviously the Lambda show up, and this is where you realize, okay, they are a black fraternity.
They're a black fraternity, but you know what? They're sticking up for their brothers.
Yes. Now, this is where I had an issue. So you have this, he says, that's it, you went too far. Now, they have broken into a house, right? Put in cameras so they can watch the girls strip and in their most intimate moments. They've put icy hot on the guy's jock straps, which doesn't go away in like 15 minutes. That shit lasts forever, right?
Yeah.
Right? Especially when it's not a sensitive spot. They've done their fair share of being assholes too. But I would say that trashing the house is a lot less of an insult than what they did, invading all those girls' privacies, especially us with daughters now, because we can only imagine nowadays what we would do if this is how the nerds finally saw their first boobs and we found out it was our daughters. We'd want the jocks to go keep them up.
Yep.
But he's just so appalled by it. Because all that they've really done is tar and feathered them, which,
Well, they kicked them out of the living space. They tarred and feathered them. They sent pigs running through their house and played the tame joke of setting them up and then not showing up for a party.
yes.
I mean, that was the most tame thing of anything that happened in this movie.
Yep.
And you think about the three major things that they did versus what the nerds did back to them. Man, those nerds hit them hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And Allison says, spoiler alert, the nerds were actually just as bad as the jocks were.
Hey, no kidding. Yeah.
I think that they were kind of worse. I think, again, when you look back at it, it was comedy that they would do something like that. But when you look at it as in this day and age, and as an adult, you're like, yeah, you should not have broken in someone's house or put cameras all over, even if they were, as big as a fucking TV camera in the corner. Like, you didn't notice the cameraman. I mean, this is something you would have seen on like the Kentucky Fried Movie, where there's just someone in the corner on purpose, filming. So it gives a basic speech that, nerds will not be persecuted anymore. Which, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, people are going to be people. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah. And then here we get the shot of now she's in love with a nerd. And this is also where we see Judy, who this will come into. And I had to do a double check. I'm like, is that? So I have to say that going into our next 2 weeks, the movie that I am going to recommend watching is Real Genius. Because
I love Real Genius. Love that.
I had to go double check. And this movie was actually before Real Genius, yet she seems older in this one than in that one.
Yeah, I agree. But Real Genius is amazing.
It is such a good movie. And so here we have Betty Childs, who was just got some new drapery, but she's in love with it. We have the president watching this in a very creepy way.
Yeah. Look at that face he's making back there. Mm-hmm.
He's like, I like white women. But I do have to say, all in all, when it comes to this movie, when you look back at it, there's a lot of stereotypes that were in there, but they were just in there as people, Lamar was clearly a very flamboyant gay man, but that's never brought up. He's just a nerd.
Yep.
You have a black college, a black fraternity, who that's supposed to be the reason why they wouldn't like him, but it's that they're nerds. But they just stick up for him. They see them as like, these people are just constantly picked on. And kind of when you look back at it, it is a little progressive for back then, even though there are some things that I would say you probably don't want.
Right.
Kind of like going back to the Warriors, where some people talked about the bundle of twigs and probably wishes he had that one back as many times.
Yeah, they said that a couple times, didn't they?
So I got to talk about. We need to talk about
Connor.
Some of the people that are in this. So John Goodman, who plays the football coach. I didn't realize he was a football coach when I had watched it so many times when I was younger. And I didn't watch this a lot, but I did when watching, and I realized I've seen this movie more than once. And I have to say, his character as a football coach, I can fully see how that is Dan Connor when he was. I can see that being Dan Connor. Because he really did act like that early on in Roseanne in many ways. Just probably not as much of an asshole considering he does go and punch out Jackie's boyfriend when he beats her. Just still one of my favorite parts of that show when he just like goes and beats the crap out of him. And the next character is the guy from Happy Days. So Stan was on Happy Days.
I forgot he was on Happy Days. Dang.
I always know that he was on Happy Days because he was that clean cut preppy guy.
Yep.
But I will always know him as
that's it.
Jefferson Darcy.
Jefferson Darcy.
Jefferson is way better than Steve. I never think.
Well, he got beat down by his lesbian wife.
I have to say, I mean, I love Married with Children. I think Married with Children is so.
That show's amazing.
It is so. Look, Allison just said it. Allison, look up here. Marcy Darcy's second husband is Married with Children. Yep. I love that Steve and Jefferson were two different people. Like they weren't even close to being the same.
Yep.
But the way that Jefferson was always like pretty much agreeing with Al, but then would automatically change.
Yep.
She would look at him and she'd do that little chicken. And then Zefram Cochrane.
Yep.
Now he's been in so many things. The fact that I think of him as Zefram Cochrane from First Contact is actually kind of surprising me. It's like this guy's done so much stuff.
Yep.
And I love First Contact. I've mentioned it is my favorite Star Trek movie. But the fact that this is what I think of him, I don't think of Alfred Woody. Was the black lady from it, Alfie Woodard.
Yeah.
I don't think of her. I mean, I know she's in it, but I don't think of like when I think of her, I don't think of like, oh, she was in First Contact. But like, this is Zefram Cochrane, the creator of, well, the guy that invented warp drive on the planet. And then we have obviously Goose, who unfortunately finds out what a canopy feels like when you're being.
Oh yeah.
Which we probably should have made fun of, but don't hit the canopy and you'll be good. So I kind of threw that at the end. I thought, now you know what? We really need to kind of, since we're going back to the 80s, there are so many movies that we might watch that have stars that you kind of forgot were in there. So I think at the end of the slides, I'm going to throw in the more
where they are.
Yeah. Just because Allison obviously noticed noticed it. Marcy was more fun as a character when she hooked up with Jefferson and got the mean streak. So boring when she was with Sweet Steve.
Yeah.
What was she like naive with Steve?
Yeah, no, the Steve Marcy relationship was pathetic. I mean, it was just bah. But yeah, I agree. When she got with Jefferson, she got the mean streak. She became an actual character because in real life, her and Ed O'Neill like butted heads like for real. They hated each other. Yep. And it made for a very interesting dynamic on set, but the character stuff that they got out of each of them was very interesting.
See, this upsets me here. You haven't watched the original Top Gun? This almost makes me want to do Top Gun just so we can make you watch it. Just like I had to watch The Warriors because I had never seen it. You will thank us for it.
Top Gun's an amazing movie. Come on now.
Top Gun, I mean, say what you want about it. It is a good movie. I mean, it hits all the tropes. It's fun. It's fast plans.
It is a gung-ho 80s action movie to the antithesis, man. I mean, it's awesome.
Now, Allison, I've never cared much for Tom Cruise. Listen, I know the guy is crazy.
Tom Cruise's personal life is nuts. His acting career is pretty darn good. There's very few movies that he's been in that I don't like those movies.
I have to agree. I mean, I can go down the list. My son loves Tom Cruise. I don't care that he's a Scientologist, and as
Whatever.
far as I know, he's never hurt anyone in real life. Other than
Well, we don't know, but
okay, I said as far as I know.
yeah.
But you know, it's like Minority Report, awesome movie.
Risky Business.
I don't think I've ever seen Risky Business.
Man, Risky Business is good.
See,
Cocktail. Bam.
I have seen Cocktail, but it's been a long time. Risky Business would have been like in that age where he's like, where I'm still kind of young for what it is, and then I've never gone back and watched it because it wasn't really
worth a watch.
Yeah, but you look at all the stuff. Look at all the Mission Impossibles. They get better. Movies aren't supposed to get better as they go along.
The first two Mission Impossibles are really hard for me to watch, but once it hit number 3 and went on, it got a lot better.
The third one, I was in Dallas for training, and I was at the mall, and they would just take you go to the mall, like they would drop you off, and we had gotten out of training early. It was like 3:00. It was a matinee, and I'm walking by the theater that's like sitting there right there in the mall, and the guy sitting in the cashier says, hey, why don't you come see the Top Gun or that Mission Impossible movie? I don't even remember seeing the second one, and I was like, what the hell? I have nothing to do. It's not like I'm going to hang out with anyone. I don't have anything to do. I went and watched the third one, and I was like, this movie is awesome. Like,
yeah, the third movie changed the entire franchise. It's really the only thing I praised J.J. Abrams for was being a director on that movie. It's the only thing that he's done that I've actually really liked. That and Fringe. Those are the only two things.
Yeah. You don't like flares? So anyway, yeah. But I'm a fan of Tom Cruise. I think what he does. I kind of look at Tom Cruise as Tom Cruise is a lot. Tom Hanks is different. But like they don't really do bad movies. Even their bad movies normally aren't bad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so for whatever it's worth, Oblivion and The Day After Tomorrow are two of Tom Cruise's really great movies. I love both of those movies, and despite all of his craziness, I love the performances he gives. I love the fact that he thanks his audience in Top Gun for coming to see it. He's appreciative for where he is in his life. That whole Scientology thing, whatever. I mean, he as a human being, I don't know, but as an actor, I really appreciate him.
Exactly, and because nothing has ever really come out solid, concrete evidence to say like this guy has done this or this. I will go watch his movies and I will support what he does. Yeah. If it comes out that he is like Michael Jackson and is doing little things with the guy from Revenge of the Nerds, then that would change my whole feeling. But to me, hey, you know what? If he's able to sucker other rich people into Scientology and give them their money, you know what? That's on you. So anyway, let's talk about what 5 movies we want to vote on. Like I said, I'm already throwing in there for Real Genius. And
I'm going to throw in Explorers.
I've never even heard of that.
The Explorers?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's oh my God, that's a great kids movie. It was butchered in the production, but what they made, I actually really love. In the finished product, the director's cut's awesome, but it's Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix and a bunch of other people that you may have heard of too. But they're kids and they build a spaceship because they get this dream from it's an alien transmission beamed to their brains, and they end up building the spaceship and going off to meet these aliens and then coming back. It's a really great Goonies type of story, but it came up against a lot of other stuff at the same time. Amazing 80s kids movie. It's well worth a watch if you guys haven't seen it. If you don't know about it, get you a copy and watch it. I love that movie. It's awesome.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. So we don't have any people in here, which means PC and Allison. Why am I freezing?
I don't know. You've been kind of roboting a little bit tonight. Oh,
yeah, I can see it. I have nothing.
Okay.
I have nothing. Yeah, wait here. I don't have anything going on my computer at all. Absolutely nothing. I don't know what. I need to get a bunch of super chats, guys, so I can invest in a much higher end computer that will just be used for this. All right, so Allison, PNC, and if anyone else in there, you guys get first shot at what movie, a movie that you want us to throw in there. Because I will throw in Top Gun. Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'm all for it.
It has been a long time since seeing that.
Did you see the Netflix direct Pee Wee Herman movie that they came out with like 5 years ago or something like that? Maybe longer. Where he like revisited, he came back and revisited the character and made another Pee Wee movie. Dude, it was awesome. It was so good.
All right, well now I kind of want to watch this, so I can go watch that.
Yeah,
Netflix is one thing I still have that doesn't give me commercials. Let's see, Star Trashing Hasbro. So Mr. Cheeseburger was.
Mr. Cheeseburger, you still in the chat? Come on, man. Hasbro sending Pinkertons to your house next, man. Come on.
PNC says nerds are drilling and you're stealing. All right, I'm definitely. No, Allison, we need 5 movies. So far, we got Real Genius, Explorers, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So anyone else? Did we even have any other one out? Radical Toys was here. Is anyone else in the chat? You know what I don't understand?
I mean, I'll throw out there. I mean, Punk loves this, right? I mean, Masters of the Universe, right?
Oh. Oh, man. I don't want to sit through that.
How about Dolph Lundgren's Punisher movie? The Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie.
Have I told you my feelings on the Punisher?
No.
I love that movie.
That movie's awesome.
I love it. Like, I'm not joking. Like, it is just a standalone. Like, if you took out of who the actual Punisher is,
yeah,
you'd be like, this is an awesome just shoot 'em up movie. Like, this guy busted. He has a mission.
And you know what? It's one of the only ones that actually uses lines from the comic book also about the gun swapping in and a couple other things that they used were directly from the comics.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know that the opening, which I can recite, at least I used to be able to, because it's at the beginning of Biohazard's Punishment. And I remember the first time I heard that, and I was like, hey, that's from The Punisher.
Yeah.
All right, Allison says Fast Times at Richmond High. You guys aren't going to like this, but I have never seen this. All right, and Big Trouble in Little China. All right, so we got
Big Trouble in Little China. Bam, that's an awesome one.
It has been a long time since I've seen that. And I couldn't tell you anything about it right now, but I guarantee you, if I watch it again, I'm going to be like, yep. Because I've seen it numerous times. So Fast Times.
There's another Dolph Lundgren movie that I'm going to throw out there that we need to put on a poll at some time called I Come in Peace. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a Dolph Lundgren movie where this time traveler comes back and he starts using his gauntlet weapon where he fires compact discs as weapons.
Okay, but the reason why I laugh is because in Big Trouble in Little China, doesn't he have sex in the hot tub?
No, I don't remember that happening.
Who's the female in Big Trouble in Little China?
Well, there are the 2 girls in that movie.
The Asian, right?
Yeah. Well, she wasn't. Whatever.
You know who I'm talking about. I can't pull it up.
Yeah.
What's her name? Tia Carrera.
Well, no. She wasn't in that movie.
Tia Carrera's in.
No, it was Kate Burton.
I'm thinking there's another movie. It's
I mean, it's Kim Cattrall who's
No, okay.
the blonde girl in it.
I'm thinking of another movie. There's another movie.
She's the Asian one in that movie.
Okay, there's a movie where it's one of the 80s 90s action heroes. They have sex in the hot tub, and when they finish, and I didn't understand this because I was so young. She goes, "This time I heard you coming," because earlier there's something where she doesn't hear him coming into the room, and after they have sex, she says, "This time I heard you coming." And when I figured out what
I don't think that's that movie.
Okay, all right.
I remember the line, but I don't think it's that movie.
The girl from Mannequin. Yes, I know who Kim Cattrall is, and I love Mannequin. I think Mannequin is awesome.
Enemy Mine. I love that movie. That movie is phenomenal. That is the beginning of Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. I mean, way back in the day.
Hey, listen, these are all movies that we can throw in, but for the next 5 that we're gonna vote on will be Real Genius, Explorers, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Fast Times, and Big Trouble in Little China.
Bam. Perfect.
And just so you guys know, you can only put five choices in a YouTube poll. So that's the reason why. But here's what I have to say. I'm glad. Thank you for everyone that tunes in. Obviously, more people.
PNC, Allison Troy, Radical Toys. We love you all guys for coming in here and hanging out with us and chatting with us. Not everybody could make it. I get that. You guys have been great and chatting the whole time. PNC, you are so awesome. I love you. Allison, always contributing. Thank you guys so much. And we had a great time. I'd love to see you guys in the next shows, and tell your friends, get more people in here. We want more interaction so we get more views and discussion about all this wonderful stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah. So I think we're going to close. The only thing I have to say is we get close to 100 votes on the movies, and everyone loves this topic when we're at the end of Monday Night Toy Rambling. So hopefully we can get some more people in, and obviously I think we're starting to get the communications down a little bit better, much smoother than the first episode, and even the second one. But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. We'll see everyone again on Monday. If you guys are interested in any reviews, there is rumors that these retro carded GI Joes may magically show up at my house.
Well, I saw that Hasbro shipped them out. So if you order from Hasbro, you probably got them. If you order them from Walmart, you're still waiting.
My buddy down the street, he got them. Walmart tells me they're on a delay. I know shit. That's fine. I'll be able to cancel them. I don't cancel anything until I get one in hand.
Yeah.
Sometimes it burns you, but sometimes it works out. So, all right. So we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna let Matthew take it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for coming in and hanging out with us. We always enjoy your time and your conversation. You guys are wonderful. We love you. Please tell your friends and interact and get more people to watch the show, and keep voting so that we can get our next setup going. Thank you guys. Good night.
Good night, guys.